Hey everybody, this is Friday morning, so it's Theotek time, and this is a bit of a milestone. It's our 20th Theotek Podcast in our new format here on Friday mornings. This morning we're going to talk church and Bible tech, but we're really going to focus on toys. And we have our regular complement of crew. All of us are here today, including our newest member, Rick Mansfield. Then over there is Antoine Wright. And Wes Allen is back after a long hiatus. He was shooting a picture in Hollywood, I think, and doesn't want people to do that. So he was acting like he was sick and then on vacation and then at his doctor's or at his kids' program or something like that. But anyway, we are glad to have all of us with us today. What we're going to do today is kind of talk about our favorite tech toys. There wasn't a whole lot of news, nothing new or earth-shattering in the Bible or church technology arena. And we all just kind of started talking about some of the fun gadgets that we've acquired or started using recently, and so we decided to do that. And so, guys, we're just going to jump right in and talk about, real briefly, anybody got a new computer that they've recently acquired?
What's that? What's a computer?
Yeah, I know. You can be quiet over there. Antoine doesn't even know they exist.
According to Antoine, he has 8 computers, so he's fine.
Yeah, that computer is that thing that my grandpa used to use back in the 90s. Anyway.
Kevin, I'll narrow it down for you. Ready? Antoine, have you picked up a recent clamshell general use computer?
No.
Okay. See, there you go.
I think I told you guys I accidentally purchased a Surface 3 last night.
Nice.
Well, I still don't understand the accidental in that whole thing.
Yeah, that's funny.
Well, it's accidental because I didn't intend to. I wasn't planning to get a Surface 3. And a friend of mine who's a Surface MVP contacted me over Twitter, and he said, I've got one of these coupons, 50% off for the 128, 4 gigabytes of RAM. And so for that, yeah. And so for that price, I couldn't say no to that.
I want one of those.
What did he say again?
I'm sorry, what?
Well, how much did he say again?
Oh, well, it was half price. I mean, it was right around, but it was a bundle, so it had the keyboard and the pen, so it was right around $400.
That's
I'll take one, please. I want one.
Alert from Accordance. Would you like to continue where you left off on another computer or device?
Hold on. My computer's talking.
That was timely.
You don't actually have it yet, do you, Rick?
I'm sorry, what?
You don't actually have the Surface yet?
No, I don't think they ship until May 5th.
Okay. Well, that's a very nice machine. I've got the Surface Pro 3 and love it. But interestingly, lately I've been using this computer, and I have it in for review. It's not mine. I don't get to keep it, unfortunately. And this is the Acer Aspire R13. Now, this is the signature edition. I got the one direct from Acer, and I'm reviewing it for notebooks.com and gottabemobile.com. But it's kind of a nice 2-in-1 or 3-in-1. No, 2-in-1. Notice it's got this funky screen that rotates around. And Rick, you have the older version of this, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I don't know if the screen's on me or not, but yeah, I've got the Acer R7 here, and this is the one that they advertised with one of the Star Trek movies. But it's I really like it. I actually upgraded from my original Surface Pro to this because I grade papers, and I wanted a larger screen to write on with a pen, and this is a 15-inch pen. And the R7 was a bit different because they moved the trackpad behind the keyboard, and I know in the R13 they put it back. And I hardly ever use that trackpad because I use the pen with it, and the screen's right there in front of me. But evidently, some of those innovative design choices they didn't stick with.
I think they might have been too innovative because I actually prefer. I didn't use the other one, but I would much prefer having the trackpad here. Although I'm like you, that on a Windows computer, I almost never use the trackpad. I almost always have a mouse to it. In fact, after a minute, in a little bit, I'll show you that mouse. But I have the version. This one says it's got 8 gig and 128 gig. I've got the one with the 500 gigs SSD. So mine is like the one I'm reviewing is like 1300 or something. It's a nice computer. The keyboard's a little bit if you're a real hardcore typist, do a lot of typing, you may not be pleased with the keyboard.
How come? Is the travel action just not that good?
Yeah, well, what happens is on the edges, you have to bang a little bit harder in order to get it to register. And so I'm typing along, and of course my name is Kevin A. Purcell, and so if I hit the A, sometimes there's no A, and the L at the end of Purcell, sometimes I just get one of them.
How much RAM is on yours?
8.
Yeah, that's what's on mine, and I've not had that problem. That may be a defective computer.
That may be. I'll have to contact Acer before I write the review of it. But I like this 13.3-inch screen, but also it has a very nice resolution. Right off the top of my head, I can't remember. Let me show you the tech specs and see if I can find. Yeah, 1920 by 1080. Actually, the one I have has a higher resolution than that. So it's like 2560 by something or another, I think.
How's that hinge?
I'd
be worried about that.
Oh, well, I mean, as a reviewer, I'm only going to have the thing about 30 days, so I can't talk about that. But it feels very sturdy. Rick, how long have you had yours?
I've had mine for almost a year, and of course, mine's got that center hinge instead of out there on the edge, and I worried a little bit about that too. But it's been very sturdy. I mean, it's solidly built on the R7.
Yeah, see, I actually feel better about that center one than I do about the edge ones. Because the edge ones, I'm just worried that the screen's going to get twisted or something, in there.
It's not at all an issue, I don't think. In fact, you just mentioned it. I hadn't even thought, oh, that's a problem. But in practical use, it's solid. It feels like it's going to hold up, But again, it's hard to tell after I've used it for about 3 days now.
Okay.
But it's easy, responds quickly. I've put down. I don't carry my Surface Pro 3 while I've been using it, and so which I love that thing. I haven't even turned on my MacBook Pro while I've been using it. So
did you get the pen with it by chance?
Yeah, it has the pen, and the pen is very good.
I agree.
I haven't used it enough yet to form a real comprehensive opinion of it because I've mainly just been using it as a notebook right now.
I think that was one of the big mistakes they made with the R7 in that it did not come with the pen. You had to buy that separately, and they made an exclusive deal to distribute only through Best Buy, and Best Buy didn't even carry the pen. So I mean, it made no sense, and I think that's one of the reasons why the R7 didn't take off the way they thought that it would.
Well, now I'm looking here on this is the Signature Edition version on Microsoft, which, by the way, if you're buying a computer, if you can get a Signature Edition instead of going direct to the manufacturer, do so.
Right.
If it costs $50 or $100 more, it's worth it. In the lack of cruft and junk is so much nicer. I've owned 3 Signature Edition computers over the years, and they're all so much nicer.
Yeah.
But I don't see any mention of the pen.
Yeah.
On this website, and so I've got it. No, it came in the box. It came in the box when I unboxed it. So I'm pretty sure it's coming with it. But again, it doesn't mention it even here. So who knows? Maybe this one doesn't even have. Surely it's got a. Maybe it
does it have a touch? It has to have a touch screen.
The pen technology, by the way, is Intrigue, the same technology that's in the Surface Pro 3 and the Surface 3. And so the pens are actually interchangeable.
Oh, are they? I haven't even looked at that.
That's what I was going to wonder. Is this like a standardized type pen now, to where you don't have to have one that's custom to the screen?
Well, it's I don't know anything using them besides the Acers and the Surface Pro 3, and of course Microsoft just bought Intrigue, so I think you're going to continue to see that for a while with Microsoft devices. I don't know if they'll continue to license that out or not, but they probably will.
This is the version that I have. I went to Acer's site, so you can see it's $1,500, and it's got the 2560 by 1440. It's got the Core i7, and it's got a 512 SSD. So this is a pretty beefy machine, and I specifically
it reminds me of Steve Jobs' analogy of a truck.
So
it's a truck.
It reminds me of Steve Jobs. Remember Steve Jobs' analogy of tablets and PCs, and tablets being more like bicycles and PCs like trucks.
Yeah,
seeing those specs, it reminds me of looking at a Dodge Ram.
I would say this is like the price of it, and then also isn't that funny, on a Windows side, a $1,500 price tag is exorbitant.
Yeah.
But, isn't that how much the new MacBook costs almost?
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean that's what I
too.
spent for my MacBook Pro with the same specs. So my MacBook Pro with Retina display, that's what I paid for it. 8 months ago or 6 months ago.
With a 15-inch or 13-inch?
13-inch.
Okay. Well, that's enough on that. Any of you guys got something new, or what do you use to tell us what you're using right now?
Well, what am I not using is probably the best bet. I think Wes said it best, that I probably have too long of a list of devices and technology that I go through.
What about your notebook? Do you use a notebook at all? A notebook computer at all?
I have a Chromebook that basically serves as a writing pad. When I'm bored with my tablet kind of pad, which I enjoy. I might look at getting an upgrade later. So it's a Samsung Chromebook 11. Nice little number, kind of like Samsung said, we're going to make a MacBook Air. We're going to make it with a lot cheaper materials, and we're going to price it at about 10% of the cost. And here, so it's fine. It's simple. It works for what it works. I will say that it's been probably one of the most recommended laptop computers that I've said ever in my life. My mother has one. My sister's getting one. Several other folks that just don't want to deal with admin. That's their MO. A Chromebook has been almost a lifesaver for them.
Yeah, I agree. If you have very simple needs, a Chromebook is the way to go today because they're just so simple. I have the HP Chromebook 14. It just sits there. I don't use it. In fact, I had it listed on Craigslist, and I may go ahead and put it up on eBay because it's not selling on Craigslist. But it's a really nice machine. That Chromebook, Antoine, is actually the Chromebook that started the Chromebook craze. They had them before that.
Yep.
Until Samsung came out with that model, they weren't gaining any traction. And then Samsung came out with that one, and it started selling like hotcakes. And that's when everybody started jumping in.
It was Samsung is accused a lot of times of copying, and they really did copy some of the best features from many notebooks in making this. And cheap or not, it's just. I mean, I've had mine for almost 2 years now. It feels a year and a half, and it's really a well-built laptop, So
for schools, it's the perfect device.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Chromebook for an education setting is perfect because the kids aren't locked to one particular machine in order to get to all their stuff. Admin costs go way down because they don't have money to put IT directors in every building anymore. Chromebook for simple needs and in that education setting. If you don't have the truck needs for things, man, that's a great pickup.
Antoine, tell us number one, how fast does that thing boot up, and number two, how fast does it take you to say, I'm tired of this, I need to erase it, clean it off, and restore it to factory specs?
How fast does it boot up? There is a question that a lot of laptop folks ask that I never go into because I never have to boot my Chromebook up. I open it and it's on. And I've always felt that boot times or bragging about boot times is kind of stupid.
Yeah, but that's the point of that. And it's hot. That's the point I was trying to make.
Now I will say, my mother, I'm not speaking bad about my mom, but my mom is apparently a magnet for all the bad things that can happen to a computer. And somehow, she was able to get some form of spyware onto a Chromebook. I don't know how she did this.
You have to try to do that.
I don't get it either. But one of the things
running
that we were
Linux.
able to do. Well, here's the thing. And so it was a piece of JavaScript that ran as a Chromebook extension that she didn't realize that the website installed, and which is fine. But to uninstall it was fairly simple. We basically wiped the computer and reinstalled, and she was back up in about an hour. We made sure to do a full. We did an hour. We actually did the full wipe. I've had some issues before with cleaning computers and virus sitting in RAM, sitting in ROM, so I didn't take any chances. So we did a full wipe. So we zeroed out as much as we could and just rebuilt from the recovery. So it took an hour. But generally speaking, if you're going to wipe and start over again, it's 10 to 15 minutes on the short end. It doesn't take really long to do that at all.
Because you just wipe your account out and re-download it.
You re-download, but you want to make sure, if you have an issue like, she ran into, we made sure not to actually download the settings and the applications she had before. We re-download everything fresh.
Yep.
So that we wouldn't end up in the same boat all over again, which, at least from my experience, with Mac OS, OS X, that's been the experience that you can kind of reboot or refresh yourself in that manner. With Windows previous to Vista, that was a little harder to do unless you had some custom image writing software. So.
But again, that process takes, without going into protections normally it would take about 10 or 15 minutes. This is the model you have.
Yeah,
right?
about 10. It's about 10. Yeah, same model. Yeah, that's
so
that's it.
You could get one now, a factory refurbished one now for $150, and that's actually expensive for this model now. So you can get one even cheaper than that probably if you looked around hard enough. This is on eBay, obviously. All right, cool. Anybody else?
What was the question again?
Notebook. What's your current notebook?
The one that I'm talking on here is the MacBook Pro, and I have it's a 2012 i7 2.7 gigahertz, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and a 775 gigabyte SSD in it, and that's a truck. I bought this, and it does the bulk of my work. And when I buy a Mac like this and kind of buy one high end, I want it to last at least 5 years. And so we're into year 3. It's still under the AppleCare warranty, and so it's working quite well. And I have no reason to think that it wouldn't last a good 5 years. My secondary machine is the Acer R7, which I use for grading papers, and also for because I can write on the papers with a pen like we did in the old days, and then I also, because I need to keep up with accordance on both Windows and Mac, that helps me do that. Those are the two notebooks that I use the most right now.
And Wes, you said you've got the MacBook Pro.
I got a MacBook Pro Retina.
13
inch. The late 2014 13-inch, and I love the thing.
Yeah, that's the exact model that I have of the MacBook Pro.
It's for me. This is my general purpose machine. So it does, and I up to the some higher RAM and things like that. I did have one of my friends went to the Mac store and he actually checked out the new MacBook, the 12-inch, and he came up with a rather interesting analogy. He said the only machine you can compare it to is a Chromebook Pixel, which I thought was really rather interesting. Because I was talking when it came out and announced, and we were talking about it like a month ago. Gosh, I can't believe it was that long ago. Was that I kept on talking about the new MacBook as being a technology preview. When he made that analogy, I actually revised my thoughts. It's actually a technology demonstration. They're trying to show people where they're going, and they're making money while doing it. Which if you can do it, it's a great gig.
I think a really interesting MacBook's going to be the 2016 model.
I really do, and he said he loved it. He said, and he's got a Chromebook and he has a MacBook, and he said the screen is a Retina display. I think it's the same resolution as the MacBook that I have. I know, Kev, you had a bad experience with the trackpad. He really loved it. I really was fascinated with that trackpad. He said, I've always been wondering about the keyboard because that's the one thing that took me a hard time getting used to with my MacBook Pro. The Retina display, the action on the keys is much different than the old 13-inch Pro non-Retina, and it took me a little while to get used to it. And the travel distance in the keys on the new MacBook is actually less than even the Retina. And he said, it actually has about the same travel distance as my Chromebook. So he jumped right on it and was able to do it. It probably would take someone like me a little bit of getting used to. He did say that the way the keys are designed and the way that you never noticed how much your keys shake until you're on the thing and going, wow, it's pretty cool. So I mean that's pretty interesting. I mean, it's not going to ever be in my tech portfolio because I'm doing like video editing and things like that. So I need something that's a little more general purpose. But for people who want to stay on the Mac and have something that's a little higher end than a MacBook Air and go forward, he said it's really fantastic.
I think that those MacBooks are eventually going to replace the MacBook Air.
Eventually.
My girlfriend actually is a big fan of this.
Well, I'll tell you what, I spent 5 minutes with it at a Best Buy store.
I was saying my girlfriend's a big fan of the Air, which surprised the utter mess out of me. This is crazy.
Yeah. I spent 5 minutes with this thing at a Best Buy, so that's not at all a fair review. I mean, I don't think it's fair to spend a week and then review it, but here's my thought.
We'll go to Best Buy and review anything, but that's okay.
Number one, the trackpad of the one that I was playing with, and the attendant there said, yeah, that's my experience too. It only registered the click about half the time, and then sometimes it was clicking stuff that I didn't want it to click. And so it was a little and then I've read online a couple other people had the same experience. Second of all, the keyboard, I could not type on it accurately at all. I was constantly hitting the wrong thing, and I think it almost felt like I was typing on my iPad.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite as bad, but almost. And I never type on my iPad. When I do the one finger, two finger hunt and peck because I can't touch type on it. I just can't. And so the other thing was it just is slow. I mean, it was just everything was slow. And of course, I'm comparing it to a MacBook Pro, which has a great keyboard, the best trackpad. And my attitude of it was they're trying to fix a problem that doesn't exist. The best trackpad in the industry, and then they changed it and made it, in my opinion, less functional. So now go ahead, throw the rocks as you please.
No, I keep telling you, you're having terrible experiences. I don't know if it's a Best Buy thing that the things get beat up too much over there, but Kevin, when I was at the Apple store using this thing, I was with my friend. I couldn't convince him that it wasn't moving.
Oh, I know. It feels like it's moving. That's not my issue. It's not that it doesn't feel like
but I was on it, and I used it just like I was using it just like I was using the regular trackpad. The one thing that I find of dubious value in the current iteration of Mac OS X is that deep touch. Like I'm not seeing that. That did feel like I was trying to push on my iPad a lot, and your fingers get sore after a while.
Yeah,
but just like normal trackbook features, that was fine.
It feels like it's fixing a problem that doesn't exist. That's just that I don't. Why?
I think what Rick said is that it's the 2016 model is going to start showing you where they're going with all this.
Well, either like you said, either I got a bad model, which I admit that's entirely possible, or I just didn't get
especially at Best Buy,
or I hadn't gotten used to it. No, I have no problems at the Best Buy that I go to. I've never had this. It's never an issue of the stuff on display is crap because it's been beat up. They're always in good shape at the one that I go to. I hear all these people complain about Best Buy. I love my Best Buy. I know the manager by name. Okay, they all talk to me. They're all incredibly friendly. I get decent service. Yes, a lot of times I know more than they do, but I know more about tech products because of what I do on my sidelight than almost everybody I know. So that's not an issue. But anyway, we don't want to get that much into this. We're really talking about what we own and what we have. But is there anybody who'd say don't use what I got? It's junk.
Nope.
No, because if it's junk, I got rid of it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, what about tablets? Antoine, let's start with you. You're the more mobile guru here. So what tablets do you use?
The only one on deck these days which is probably better than I said a year ago.
Repeat it for us, will you?
Is the iPad Mini, which I guess that would get the second generation iPad Mini.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any desire for the third one? Like, is it? I wish I could upgrade and get that, or you don't really care?
Yes. Yes, actually. I deliciously like the idea of Touch ID. And given my move to a different type of mobile phone, it's not a far away thought for the next iPad Mini. Probably a 64 gig version of that to be my next Mini.
Are you gonna wait until like maybe in the fall they might release a fourth generation and see what that is before you upgrade, or are you planning to upgrade real soon?
No, I'm waiting till the next generation comes out. At least with the iPad, I'm paying a lot of attention to the processor that's being used, and so for Apple, the processors that they're using in the phone and the iPad helps to give a barometer as to where they're pointing the software. So I was very interested in making sure that I got the A8 for the 64-bit compatibility to figure out, how that was working and what works and what doesn't work. And so I definitely like to see what the next processor GPU component is going to be. That speaks to a few ways that I plan on using tablets right now and in the future.
Okay, Wes?
I got a first-gen MacBook Air and a first-gen Nexus 7. Those are my two tablets. So,
MacBook Air is not a tablet.
Love them both.
You know that, right?
What's that?
The MacBook Air is not a tablet. You know that, right?
What do you mean?
You probably meant iPad.
MacBook Air. You had a first-gen
MacBook Air. What did I just say? Oh, I meant iPad Air. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Stupid
right.
Air thing. I'm out of practice. I got a first-gen iPad Air. Thank you, and I have a first-gen Nexus 7. Those are the two that I use.
Now, I thought you were making some kind of joke, and so I was trying to play along with you.
No, my brain is just not working. I haven't had enough coffee. I'm way out of practice.
Yeah,
Love them both. With Antoine, I love. To me, the perfect combination of all things is 1Password and Touch ID. I love that. To where, like, I get on my iPad and I open up 1Password and I got to type in my password. I'm like, well, this just seems weird because on my phone it's just like bink and it's right up. And just being able to unlock apps. Like I have a file browser app to get to my network-enabled hard drive, and I unlock it with Touch ID, and I really love that feature. But I'm very happy with the Mac or the iPad Air. And my Nexus 7, I just had upgraded to the newer edition of Lollipop, which fixes a lot of the problems on the first-gen Nexus hardware in Lollipop, to where the tablet's actually usable again. And that makes me happy. And I use that. This is kind of like my gadget tab, not my gadget tablet, but it's like my utility tablet. I use it to control the cameras in the studio and my tethering app for my camera, for my DSLR and things like that, which we can talk about in a little later.
Yeah, okay. Well, Rick, I think you and I share similar tablet tastes, because you have an iPad too, don't you?
I have iPad Air.
The first gen, just like Wes?
First gen, yeah.
Yeah, I do as well. And then what other tablet do you have?
I've got this is the Toshiba Encore 2 Wright, which I believe you've got. It's a Windows tablet, 8-inch, and a very capable Windows tablet. I've been very impressed with it. To me, it was a tablet made for pen input, and an 8-inch tablet made for pen input. And I think it's one of the best ones of that class. I've really enjoyed using that, although probably just because I don't. We'll see when I get that Surface 3, I may end up selling the Toshiba because there's probably no sense in me having both, but we'll see how that goes. The one that I use the most is the iPad Air. I use this more than anything because I use it for reading. The majority of books that I read these days is on the iPad Air, And the other thing is I've got this little Logitech keyboard. Logitech makes these great keyboards, and when you put these on here, it's a great little mobile. It's a great little mobile computer, to be honest. I wish that I could do everything on this. If I could do everything on this, I would. I have other things that I have to do, but and I have the larger iPad as opposed to the iPad Mini because I have probably thousands of PDF files that are 8.5 by 11 that just look better on that larger screen.
Yeah, I'm using the iPad Air, and then of course what I wanted to do is I just got this one in for review, and what I wanted to do was to force myself to use it, because I know in the past when I've gotten a review tablet that's not my iPad, I keep going back to it. So I actually shut off my iPad and put it where it's not easily accessible, and have forced myself to use this thing. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't missed my iPad. I got the 10-inch version. It's widescreen, which I actually prefer a 4x3 on a tablet, but it's been okay. I've gotten used to it. It's a little more comfortable to read, stuff like that. But like you said, it's the screen resolution is not high enough for reading. It's 1200 by 800. What is it? No. Anyway.
It's 1200 by 800.
So it's
on a 10-inch?
1280 by 800.
20p instead of 1080p resolution.
Yeah.
It's too low. The resolution's too low, but that also makes it cheap. You can buy this now for $399 brand new full price, and you can get it for cheaper than that. So but the thing is, it's a full Windows computer.
Right.
You can see here for Rick, I'll launch Accordance.
Okay, and you've got the 10-inch one. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. Mine's the 8-inch.
And you see there how long it's taking, how long it took to launch Accordance. I did it so that you wouldn't have to wait. If I had launched Logos, we'd be still waiting for it to finish launching right now. Accordance runs a lot faster even on Windows than Logos. That's not to be a dig at one or the other, but it's just a fact. Running Logos on this is a bit painful, to be honest with you. It's too underpowered. It's only got 2 gigabytes of RAM. Is it an ARM or a Celeron? I can't remember. It's an ARM processor, right?
It's an ARM, I believe.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
How's it running x86 software if it's an ARM processor?
Windows has got that solved. I mean, it's not a problem.
Well, that's probably part of your speed.
Adam, ATOM.
Adam, thank you. That's what my brain was. Okay.
Yeah,
you're going. That's an ARM. That's no way. Because if they were emulating, that would explain why everything was terrible.
The other thing I liked about that Toshiba tablet, though, is it comes with 64 gigabytes of drive space, which most tablets really kind of skimp on that, and you end up not being able to put too much on them. And this is pretty decent, especially if you put it in an SSD.
Yeah.
I mean, not an SSD.
SD card.
Yeah.
And again, this is the signature edition, so there's not a lot of junk on it, but there is one really nice app. Their note-taking app actually has me wishing I could get this on other things. It's that good.
Good.
It's a cool note-taking app. So, and of course, Antoine, you'd love it. You can, draw. It's got nice pen styles and everything. If you can sort of see
There's too much of a delay between where you just drew and what appeared on the screen. That would infuriate me.
No.
Yeah,
that's just what's coming across the camera, Antoine. Antoine, listen, it may just be what's coming across the camera, but it's not. In real life, it's not. It's
in actual practice, it's very fluid.
Okay, Antoine, get thee to a Microsoft store.
No,
it is better.
I told the Microsoft guys I would not go past the store here in Charlotte again unless I was ready to buy a Surface Pro 3. So I can't go past there yet.
Better than my Surface Pro 3 for inking, and that may be the app more than anything else. I use an app on my Surface called Note, Metamoji Note, because I don't really like OneNote. I just don't like the way OneNote works, and so and the app on this. The same app on this runs better than it does on the Surface Pro. As far as inking goes, I think the digitizer is better on this.
Better.
A fourth or a third price.
the limitation you mentioned, about you wish it was on other devices, I think is its biggest drawback, because it is a really well thought out app for taking notes on, and but you would then have to export those notes to be on another device. And I use primarily Evernote, which you can use the pen input for writing directly into that as well on that tablet. But I use Evernote because it's on every device that I can pull up whatever I'm working on. I do most of my initial composing. If I'm working on an article or something like that, I start it in Evernote, and I can be on any device that I've got, and I can immediately pull that up. And it's a shame that Toshiba's not releasing that application for anyone who wants to use it.
Yeah, that would be really. I wish they would as well.
I've never considered that for Evernote. That's an interesting point. So,
have they?
What's that? You haven't considered what for Evernote?
That you can type, that you can write on a note, and just it's on anywhere. I don't know why I never thought of it, but that's actually a really good point.
Yeah, that's why I like it.
Is there a way on Evernote to zoom in, like have a little zoom box that you're actually writing in, and have it show up on the page?
Well, in like on your Toshiba tablet there, or this would work on a Surface Pro 2. You can choose the handwriting keyboard, the pen input keyboard, and so
I like that.
With some practice, I've gotten actually pretty good on it, especially on this Toshiba, and I think it probably takes 3 or 4 days of just I'm going to try to just use this as often as I can. But my handwriting is not good. My mother switched me from left-handed to right-handed and messed me up for life. And the Toshiba will read my hand, or it's really Microsoft technology for the pen input, reads my handwriting really well.
See, I love this little box on that Metamoji Note app, and so I can actually make it really fine.
Mm-hmm.
And do that, and that's. I don't think Evernote has that capability, does it?
To zoom like that? No.
Yeah. See, I'll never.
Evernote doesn't.
Yeah.
Hold on. Whoa, wait. But Evernote doesn't. But Evernote's product, Pen Ultimate, does. And
right, but Pen Ultimate's not on every platform.
Yeah, but that's only on
Pen Ultimate. Pen Ultimate's only on iOS, but the ink engine for Pen Ultimate is what's running on their Android version of Evernote.
Okay.
Right, but that doesn't help me on this. So,
hey, I do have one other tablet that I forgot about. My son over Christmas picked up the Samsung Galaxy 4 Nook tablet at Barnes & Noble because he wanted something smaller to read on, and he very much enjoys it. I think the screen is gorgeous. It reminds me how I cannot stand Samsung's interface. But the other thing, the only knock that I have on the tablet at all is that it does not support USB host mode. So I can't use it for anything. Like you can't plug in a mouse and use the mouse input. You can't plug in a gamepad and use the gamepad. You can't plug in the camera and tether it to it, and I don't know why that would have been turned off for something that was released just like last year.
Probably to make it cheaper, or something. I don't know. The other Samsung tablets have that capability. Yeah,
that's what I don't understand. Why it's comparably priced, so I'm not sure what on earth is going on, and I haven't been able to find anything on it. Yeah, so if you come up with anything, let me know.
If you're not so opposed to the TouchWiz, which is what Samsung, their overlay on Android, I don't find it that bad. But I've been using Samsung phones for quite a while, and I've had 3 Samsung tablets. But I reviewed the Tab S, which is their latest. That's their Hero generation tablet, and the Tab S 10.4 inch, I think, is their best. It's actually a really good deal right now. You can get them as low as $350, and that has the most beautiful screen of any tablet I've ever used. That includes the iPad. I've never used another tablet with a more beautiful screen than that. So if screen is your thing and reading is your thing, that's a
good one to have.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Have we all got our tablets out there?
I think so.
Okay. How about your phone? Just real quick. I don't want to spend a long time on this because we could go deep into phones, but what phone do you use, Antoine?
this one.
Okay, that's the only phone you have?
No, I also have 2 Nexus 5 devices.
You're not using.
This is my main phone. This is the Samsung Gear S. While most non-Samsung people are told to avoid this at all costs, I am not one of those people who listens to reason. So I'm using a wrist-worn wearable with a SIM card as my main phone, and daring folks to think otherwise.
Go, Dick Tracy.
Yeah, I was about to say hi, Dick.
You got it. You got it.
So you don't miss the larger phone screen at all? You've got a tablet with you all the time, right?
Just about. I use my tablet like a moleskin notebook, so it's pretty much in my hand all the time that I need it. And when I don't need it in my hand, I don't necessarily need a large screen. So the Gear S has been more than suitable for those moments.
What about for private conversations, though? Of course, most of us use our phones for more than just phone calls, and phone calls are actually sometimes the least feature we use. But that to me that would be a concern. I don't want to have a public conversation, over that.
This
answer.
Earpiece.
There you go.
Okay.
This is my answer.
What earpiece is that?
This is the Tron Fi, a nice little $20 Bluetooth 4.0 headset that I just got last night from off of eBay.
Okay.
Sorry,
Stick it in your ear.
Yeah.
You know what, Antoine?
It looks like I have a hearing aid.
Antoine, do me a favor. Seriously, right now, call me on my phone. I want to hear the audio of that thing.
This is going to get really interesting really
I was
quick.
looking at that exact same thing last night on eBay.
It's not bad. It sounded better when I had the stereo earphone plugged into it. Where do I have your number at, Kevin? It's on one of these devices.
While you're doing that, Antoine, while you're doing that, first of all, also mute your audio so that we can hear you.
Yeah, mute the video audio so we aren't getting echoes.
Yeah, and then go ahead.
Do.
Wes, tell us what phone are you doing while he's doing that?
I'm boring. I just have an iPhone 5S. So
Okay.
next year I will be upgrading to whatever the next generation 6 Plus is. So that's where I'm heading.
Okay, and you, Rick?
Got the iPhone 6 Plus, and really like that. I didn't know if I would like a screen that large, but last summer I spent the entire summer using a Windows Phone, the Icon, and determined, okay, I definitely do like a larger screen, and so I went to this, and something that's nice about this larger screen is I read more on my phone than I used to, whether it's the Kindle app or Accordance or whatever. I can, because I can fit so much more on the screen, it's got a very high resolution. I'm not having to constantly be turning pages, which always frustrated me on smaller devices. It's very handy for that. And there have been times I've gone to a handful of meetings where I would take this iWorks keyboard that just folds up and can fit kind of in the pocket of your cargo pants, and it's a Bluetooth keyboard. And this is very handy for, like I said, I've been in meetings taking notes with just my phone.
Excuse me.
And that.
Hangouts app needs your attention.
She's talky today, isn't she? I think that was the messages you guys were sending back and forth. But anyway, that's been a handy way to sometimes go extremely mobile and not have to do that. And then I have one other phone that I just keep around because I miss the Windows Phone. I really like the Windows Phone interface. I really like Windows Phone interface better than iOS. There are just so many limitations to it. But because of that,
really good phone interface.
I keep the 35 around just to keep up with Windows Phone, and I have the new 10 preview installed on that.
All right. Well, we're still. Did you get my phone number there, bud? In the Hangouts?
Calling you right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, while he's calling me, I will show you. Here it is. I'm about to answer it on my Samsung Galaxy Note 4. So we will answer and put it on speaker. I just want to hear how that headphone sounds. So go ahead and talk to me, Antoine.
All right. So you're hearing me right now. This is the ear and the Bluetooth headset.
That sounds pretty good.
Hmm.
For $20, that's not bad.
It's really decent for 20.
Yeah, and I sound good to you?
Oh yeah, you sound great.
All right, cool. Well, I'm going to end it. Yeah, this is the Samsung Galaxy Note, and again, it's one of the best values of the Note is you can tell that I like pens. There's a theme going on here. And
yeah, I do too.
I love the action memo feature on this, as going to pop up here, and I don't know why but for example, you can draw you can write things and then turn them into things. You can, I could write a website and turn it into a link that will then open right away, or I can just take some notes, and it's got great inking features on it, and I'll discard that. Now I don't use the TouchWiz launcher. This is Nova Launcher, which I think is far superior. I can get more icons on the screen than I would otherwise. I'm not yet finished. I just reinstalled Nova Launcher after not using it because I had to clear my phone about 2 weeks ago. But I really like the Samsung. And then I've also got, this is our home phone. I don't have a home phone. I carry that one around. And I got an iPhone because everyone in the family was on iPhone at the time, but since then I've converted my sons to Android. So, but my wife is the main one. She needs to be able to use the home phone, and so she doesn't want to use an Android phone, iPhone mainly for her. But also that way I can use both and write about both on a regular basis.
You know, I'm really intrigued by Antoine's setup there. I wonder if there could be a day where, you know, maybe having just a watch like that and something you put in your ear and bypassing a traditional phone altogether and just having your tablet.
Oops. Here, let me explain.
He's already there.
I know. I mean, he's doing it, and I wonder if that's not something that I'd want to do one day.
Well, here, let me give you guys an insight on something. As you know, Apple Watch has been out, and everybody and their mama thinks that I have an Apple Watch on my wrist, which is not bad. It's good attention for various reasons. But one of the neatest pieces of attention I've gotten, there's a lady. She's in her mid-50s, probably mid to late 50s, and she saw the watch. She asked me if it was an Apple Watch, and then asked me how did I like the phone on my wrist, and said it would be perfect for her husband who likes wearing watches but does not want a complex phone. And it never occurred to me that, I mean, because the Gear S, it is a simple phone. It's dang near a feature phone if you don't hack around, having another Galaxy device. But it really does serve as a very simple communications device, especially if you just don't want to really worry about having a black slab in your pocket, having to remember to charge it, etc. It just works. I mean, there are some other pieces that don't just work, and Samsung will be hearing from me in my review soon enough. But it makes a lot of sense for a whole lot of us who, if we don't talk on the phone that often, and the point of our mobile phone is really a data connection device. We're on social media, we're reading, we're using it for mapping or using it as a car radio kind of thing. Those are kind of things that a pure tablet does and does very well. A phone device, something to manage your contacts and calendar, a basic calendar. The Gear S is about as smart as it gets.
It's kind of interesting. I don't like the curved back on it. I tried it on, and it just wasn't comfortable to me because I've got, my wrists are a little beefier than yours, obviously. But I'm intrigued by the idea of it. I just like my phone too much. I want to be able to use the phone as a phone and as a computer too much. So I don't think I would enjoy doing that. But
what I'm saying is there's so much communication between tablets and phones now. There's my iPhone 6 Plus is a small tablet, and so it'd be very interesting to be able to just set the phone aside and just have a tablet and something on your wrist that's also a phone.
Plus,
yeah, and when I'm out and about, I end up using my iPad just tethered to my phone to surf the internet or to do something rather than using my phone. I'll leave that sitting somewhere. My whole thing with using a watch-like interface is I hate having things on my wrist. That's my. I think I will always be a pocket person. So, but Antoine, I don't even, when I go to amusement parks, I get that band off of me as fast as I can. It just gives me the willy.
And I've probably lost a dozen watches in my lifetime because I'll sit down, I sit down to type on the computer. I don't like it hitting the keyboard, so I take it off. I go into a restaurant and I take it off. And, I've left some pretty nice tips over the years for getting a watch, and I hope I don't do that with my Apple Watch. I think my wife will kill me if I do that.
Guys, if you guys hear what those use cases of why you don't like a watch, and kind of where the watch is intrusive, the idea of not having something on your wrist, I'm with you, Wes. I still think my Polar Loop was probably the best type of wearable. Those little Livestrong wristbands?
Yeah.
That's about the most tension I ever want on my wrist. And having two watches on now is totally it's scary. It bugs me. There are pieces of it that bug me. The ability, though, to have, a watch that doesn't really get in the way. I've always felt traditional watches got in the way. I mean, it was only there to tell the time. This doesn't get in the way. The Gear S, it buzzes at me when I don't stand up for an hour, which means it's probably going to buzz at me in about 10 minutes. It's there when I need it, and it's not so heavy that it's a burden when I don't need it. Now, when I'm typing on my Chromebook, it's not in the way because, obviously the Chromebook screen is good, but then, like I said, I use it in concert with my tablet, and, I don't have to worry about typing on the screen with my tablet. I don't use a type cover or anything of that sort with my iPad, and so it doesn't really get in the way. It in a sense, it has its own space, and I think wearables, the Apple Watch will kind of prove that, to those who are able to use it, that wearables have their own space. They don't necessarily get in the way. At the same time, it does ask of us to think about computing in a slightly different manner.
Yeah, I've never found that something on my wrist gets in the way of me using my devices. I just don't like having it on my wrist. It's the heebie-jeebies. But yeah, and the fact that it does vanish. Which is one of the reasons why for me, who hates having stuff on my wrist, when the first Pebble came out, I was really fascinated in getting one, just because it is so less intrusive to communication or to being around people to just glance at your wrist and look back up again. To where, because when you're in a meeting, you get a buzz and you're worried that something important is going on, or your kids are needing picked up at school or something like that. You're taking it out and you're getting in the way of the meeting. But looking at your watch, that's an old accepted form of distraction in public discourse like that. So that's why I'm fascinated with wearables, even though I probably will never get one, just because I hate having things on my wrist.
When I had my Pebble, what I used to do was I would take it off my wrist just because I have a bad habit of doing that. But if I was sitting in a meeting, I would kind of put it down in front of me, prop it up to where I could see the screen, and so as those alerts were coming in, it wasn't even a deal where I was looking at my wrist. I was just
there.
Yeah.
First of all, how to solve that problem, Antoine, is that an Apple Watch? Is you say yes and it's terrible. I hate it. No, I'm kidding about that. I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that. But I am very tempted because I'll be honest with you, the Apple Watch is. I'm sick of hearing about it, but that's because I'm not that impressed. But I'm also not that impressed with this. The Moto 360 is. I'm very much looking forward to the Pebble Time Steel, which I'll be getting mine this July or August, I think it is.
I'm very interested in that.
Yeah, in fact, I bought I am getting the one with the red band and the gold color, and so I'm going to show you here in just a second which one that is. The thing I like about this, their new interface that they have. I had the old Pebble Steel and sold it. Mm-hmm. My son has my old original Kickstarter Pebble. Oh goodness, come on, here we go. And I really liked it, but it was an ugly plasticky thing. Well, where's I'm trying to find a good picture to show you of the Pebble Time, and I keep clicking on it, and they keep saying, just give us your email address, and I don't want to give you my email address. But the new interface looks really useful and really interesting, plus they're making it Android Wear compatible, which you get the function of Pebble plus the function of Android Wear. And so I'm getting this one right here, this gold with the red band. I just think that looks, beautiful, to be honest with you. And you put the right watch face on it, and it might look actually elegant when you're done. So I'm really looking forward to that. And the touch screen on mine, swiping away the notifications. To be honest with you, I'm sick of having to swipe away notifications. Why doesn't it just disappear? Okay, just go away notifications, but they seem to stick around. And then every once in a while, Android Wear will update something, and your notifications just keep coming back, even after you swipe them away. And it's like, get rid of that. I'm sick of that. So, all right, well, let's move on to accessories. And just real quickly, we've only got a few more minutes. Let's talk about your favorite accessories. I'll jump in first. I am right now reviewing this, which is the Microsoft mobile keyboard. And one of the coolest things about this is you'll notice this little switch on here. It might be very difficult for you to get a good look at it. Notice it says iPad, iPhone, has an Android and a Windows icon. And so what you can do with this is you can actually hook up 3 different devices at once. So I've got my Toshiba Encore hooked up to the Windows side. I've got my iPhone 6 Plus on the iPhone side, and then I've got my Samsung on the Android. And that allows me to very quickly switch between them and type on it while I'm out somewhere. So I'll show you what my setup kind of looks like here with. So I did this. I was at a Bojangles having breakfast yesterday morning. Here's the pen for the Toshiba. I've got a mouse, Bluetooth mouse hooked up to it, and I sat there and I actually was planning to go for about an hour, eat a biscuit, and then do a little bit of quick writing, and I looked up and it was 11:30. Literally spent the entire morning on this setup. The keyboard is awesome. It's an excellent keyboard. For a mobile keyboard, it's great. You notice it's got the little shortcut keys, and so it's about $80. So I'll be giving this a glowing review. I'm really pleased with it. And then this is the mouse that I love the most. It's similar to the keyboard in that it's got a toggle switch, so I can hook this up to 2 different devices at one time. So I can hook it up. So if I want, I could actually have 2 computers out working on it, and I can just quickly switch. So gone are the days of the KVM switch, the keyboard video mouse switcher.
Is that the Logitech mouse there?
Yeah, it's a Logitech ultra thin.
Yeah, I've got the black one.
Yeah, you can get them really cheap now. They're about $40 on Amazon, and so I recommend it highly. It's got the touch interface on it, and so while you're scrolling, do this to a scroll.
Yeah, I love that for scrolling.
On the Wright software, you can swipe back and forth doing that. It's incredibly thin and small, fits inside your pocket or a bag. It recharges down there. Here is a little switch that you can use to go from 1 to 2, turn it on and off, pair it with Bluetooth. It's very accurate, very simple to use, and it's similar to the bigger Magic Mouse, but it's just it's smaller and works better. And then similarly, if you want a big one, Logitech also has this. This is the new Logitech, the replacement for their MX. And notice it has 3 positions, so I can actually hook it up to 3 different things all at once. Plus, you can use it.
It looks like a Star Trek shuttle.
Yeah, that's right. And it's very comfortable, very large. It's got, more buttons than I know what to do with on it. So these are my favorite tech. And then just real quick, last, love Logitech products. And here's another one. And you see, let's see here if I can. The F keys 1, 2, and 3. You can switch between 3 different. So I'm sitting at my desktop with my Windows computer and my Mac. I can quickly switch from one to the other when I need to with both my mouse and my keyboard. And look at this thing. Woo-hoo. If you ever need a good trackpad, get one of these big old Insignias.
Wow.
They're really nice. All right, who wants to go next?
I got 2. So one of them is something that I got, and the other one is something that I'm planning on getting. But let me share my screen quick. So let's go. The first is I was telling you guys how I've been playing with the tethering app. So these are just a couple of screenshots from the app. This is called DSLR Dashboard. You can get it in the Google Play Store. And this is just a USB to go cable connected to my Nikon D7000, and I can control the entire camera. You can do both bracketing and autofocus. So, and bracketing and focus bracketing. So actually this is kind of a setup. And on my blog today, I actually put on the first actual real life HDR photo that I took. Was just playing around yesterday with things, which I really kind of like. And this is the bracketing setup. So it lets you, set how many exposures you want and what steps you want to do from things. It's pretty cool. I really like it. And for me to do something similar to this on my Mac, where I've got Live View open and I'm controlling the settings, it's like $150. There are other apps on the Android store which cost more, which I think are a little bit more stable and the interface might be a little better. But DSLR Dashboard is free. So I mean, I've got a pretty decent setup, and I just got a new tripod, so I'm going to be heading down to the river pretty soon, and I'm going to be taking some sunset pictures with this bracketing, which I really find cool. So if you're interested in that sort of thing. I think it's good for movies because you can take video on it. You can refocus the camera just by tapping the screen. So I think that's really kind of cool. So that's my one thing.
What's that? Does that work with?
It'll work with pretty much any DSLR. It's pretty universal.
What is the USB OTG cable? OTG.
It's the USB to go.
On the go.
Basically, it's got a micro USB on the one end, and then it's got a full-size USB port on the other, and that allows you to connect like full-function USB peripherals to an Android device, which I really like.
That's different than just a regular USB to micro USB cable, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Correct.
And you can get them for like $3 or even less on Amazon, so that's fine. Let me show you the other thing that I'm kind of interested in. I do not have this yet. I want this.
Oh my!
And what made me think about it was when Rick showed up that little foldable keyboard. I have been fascinated with the idea of getting a really teeny keyboard for ages upon ages, and this thing I look at and I go, I just want it. They completely rethought the keyboard entirely. Every one of those things is they're all capacitive touch, so they can all do multi-functions. You can work on anything. You can see it folds up in the back there, and it's all connected by magnets. So it's like you put it out and it just snaps together. It's really cool. It's got even Windows key or like Mac keys on it. So there's a command key to access all those things in like iOS, and it's Bluetooth, so it pairs with just about anything. I want this. So this is something that I'm going to be getting fairly soon just to check it out. And they did say like the keyboard action is about the same as I think they said the MacBook Pro screen. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then I stop screen my screen. There's my 2.
Rick, what's next?
Well, I guess I jumped the gun when I showed you my keyboards. I do use those keyboards a good bit on the go, and you've got I've got two of the three mouses that you showed. So I went and grabbed this because I use this a lot. This is a Fujitsu. It's a portable Fujitsu Snap scanner, and so it's a document scanner. And I told you I read a lot of my iPad, and one thing I got frustrated with. I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago were publishers who they have no interest in making certain books digital. And so I'll take a book. I usually take 3 or 4 weeks down to Kinko's, have them cut off the spine, and I digitize them myself. I put them in Acrobat and let it put an OCR layer over the text. The page still looks like the original page, but I can do searches, I can highlight, and I can carry that entire library with me. And I've created a number of them. I should have pulled this up already. I've created a number of them that just look really stunning. As far like there've been some that the pictures look so nice. I wanted to have the original. Let's see here if I can find one of these. Yeah, here we go. I wanted to have the original quality of pictures, and so, for instance, this was from Life magazine. They did an article, or I'm sorry, a whole issue on Christianity, and I thought those pictures would be a really good resource to have, and so I had Kinko's cut off the spine, and I took it down to I put it in my Fujitsu scanner, and I put those on here, and of course, again, you can enlarge the text if you need to. You can select it and highlight it. You can add notes, whatever you want to. I'm using Goodreader for that. But some people say, "Oh my gosh, you're destroying books." I wouldn't do that to my entire library. But I would love to reduce my library electronically to maybe just a couple of bookcases. Right now, I have an entire room full of bookcases. And so between buying books in accordance or Kindle or so forth and being able to digitize my own, I'm gradually making my physical possessions much smaller.
Okay, Rick, a couple of questions. First, how much do they charge you to cut off the spines?
It varies. Sometimes I'll walk in and I'll hand it to them, and if there's no one around, they'll hand it back and say it's free. I've had that happen so many times. Then other times I've been charged like $1.50.
Okay, so that's pretty good. And the other thing is, how many pages per minute can you use can you scan with that scanner?
Well, this is the portable one. They do make a desktop version that is much faster, and you can put a lot more pages in it. And of course, it also varies according to quality. And so, for that Life magazine issue on Christianity that I did there, I put that on the very highest quality, and so in fact the file size is about 400 megabytes on that. But the average thing that I do is just a regular print book. I'll do it on not the lowest setting, but the next to lowest setting, and it probably I don't know the exact speeds, but I feed in pages, groups of pages, like about 15 to 20 pages at a time, and I've got it set up ready to go, and I'm just putting them in there, and I have to watch it because they'll run through quicker than I can put them in sometimes.
Okay, and do you scan like even pages or odd pages first and then even pages?
No, the Scan Snap scanner will do. It scans both sides at the same time.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
that's cool.
That's what makes it really nice. So it scans both sides at the same time, and then what I do is I pull it up in Acrobat Pro to where I can see 2 pages at a time, and I just go through them and I pay attention to page numbers to make certain that I didn't
screw it up. And Acrobat Pro is what you're using to do the OCR?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's not the old school. The old school OCR would just convert everything to text. This still has the same look as the original page, but I can search through it. I can highlight, and it's really nice setup.
That's really cool. And how did you buy Acrobat? Did you buy it standalone as a part of Creative Cloud? What'd you do?
I'm trying to think. Well, I initially bought it standalone with an educational discount. I think it was around $100. But I do have one of the Adobe suites that came with the same version. Is what ended up happening. But and there's some other cheaper programs that will do it well, but I do it as well. But I don't know. I've been using Acrobat Pro so long; it's just familiar.
Yeah, one of the things that I don't like about Acrobat Pro is it screws up things for other apps that need PDF access that are dependent on they want to use the Mac version, so it screws up previews. But other than that,
I haven't had that problem.
Yep, cool. Antoine, go ahead.
Yeah, Rick. You mentioned earlier you're a big Evernote guy. Why don't you just scan those books straight into Evernote and just take advantage of Evernote's OCR?
Because, the reason is that, like, for instance, on the iPad, I think the reading experience of these is better in something like Goodreader than it is in Evernote. Now, having said that, I've got thousands of articles in Evernote, and of course, you can open a PDF and something else, make changes to it, save it back, and of course, now Evernote has added some basic editing, highlight tools as well. But mainly just because I want to use. I read primarily out of Goodreader for a scanned PDF, especially a book.
Okay.
All right, Antoine, what you got?
Nothing. No, I'm just kidding. The only real accessory that I use is this little guy here. That's it.
It's hard for us to tell what that
stylus.
Is that? I think it's a cigar.
Yeah. This is
is
stylus
that
by 53.
Yeah. Okay.
This stylus is by the company 53. It's called Pencil. It's a nice little carpenter's pencil, and it's the wooden one because I missed the wooden carpenter's pencil so much. But I use it fairly often, and especially now that I have a phone on my wrist, this is the only thing that really stays in my hand, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, and he does beautiful work, as we've demonstrated before in the past with his inking capabilities on a tablet. Well, guys, we actually went way along this one, and so if any of you out there are still watching, thank you for your patience today and showing as we show off our favorite tech gadgets. And then finally, next week we're going to sort of do the same thing, unless something major comes up, talking about Bible software. I'm sorry. Software we use that is not Bible software. We've talked a lot about our Bible software here on Theotek, but we're going to talk about some of our favorite things. We promise we won't all talk about how great things like, the big ones that everybody knows about, your Adobe stuff or Microsoft. We're going to look for those special utilities, maybe some obscure stuff that we've got that no one really thinks about or knows much about, and we'll show those off to you next week. But it's been the Theotek Podcast. We hope that you'll subscribe to us on YouTube, and if you don't want to do it through video and you'd say, I liked this, but I'd rather listen to the audio of it, something like this today might not be as useful, but you can do that through iTunes or Stitcher. Go to kevinpurcell.org, and I thought I had forwarded the theotek.com to our Theotek page on there, but I noticed this morning I hadn't done that yet. So don't do that yet, but very soon I'll have that forwarded over so that you can check that out there. But we appreciate you guys watching, and come back every Friday morning at 9 o'clock using Google Hangouts. We do this podcast just for our fun and hopefully your benefit as well. So, guys, good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.